The F-117 Nighthawk was and continues to be one of the most iconic stealth aircraft ever made, and for the last year or so the Air Zoo has had the pleasure of restoring one. Throughout this restoration process, we can't help but appreciate the clever design and the science involved to make this aircraft stealthy. So, what goes into making the F-117 stealthy? Well, 4 areas of concern need to be addressed: radar, infrared, acoustics, and visual. We want to hide from radar, leave no heat signature, keep out of sight, and stay as quiet as possible. Let's walk around the aircraft and look at a number of things that together made the F-117 very hard to detect. Keep in mind, this is the design that stems from work done by Lockheed in the mid to late 1970s. Faceting is a technique that makes use of trapezoidal or triangular flat surfaces versus the normal smooth surfaces one might see on aircraft. The use of so many sections of flat surfaces of different sizes and shapes is done to help reduce the radar cross-section, or RCS, of the 117. Basically, it deflects radar off in odd directions so you cannot get a good strong return when trying to detect and track the aircraft. For most people, this is what one thinks of when you say the F-117 is stealthy. It hides from or can't be detected by radar. Even the edge profiles are optimized to reflect radar into narrow beam signals, directing them away from enemy radar detection. All the doors and opening panels on the aircraft have sawtooth forward and trailing edges to deflect radar in various directions. This is part of the faceting technique applied to those specific items. But faceting isn't enough, so a coating of radar absorbent material is sprayed onto the body of the aircraft. This radar absorbent material, or RAM, will absorb radar as well as deflect it along the surface to diffuse it. The leading and trailing edges of the wings and the rudder vaders incorporate a unique mixture of RAM into their internal voids to help reduce radar cross-section. This is known as edge softening. Another serious issue that had to be addressed is heat. Infrared detection is a dead giveaway. The first thing to note is the aircraft is subsonic. That is, it flew less than the speed of sound. The F-117 used non-afterburning engines. We don't want all that heat an afterburner produces. Plus, the faster you go, the more likely it is you'll generate higher heat levels in a variety of places in and around the aircraft. Note, an F-117 typically flew about 575 miles an hour during an average mission. It's not speed that matters here, it's reducing your heat or infrared signature that matters. Probably the biggest place for the reduction and elimination of infrared signature is here. The exhaust slots and the area surrounding them, often called the platypus due to its shape. First off, about 10% of the incoming air for the engine is instead bypassed and fed into the rear to help reduce the temperature of the jet exhaust. Secondly, the exhaust is flattened out, dispersed, and then exits through these slots. The bottom of the exhaust slots are extended out further and angled upwards, and this is where it gets the nickname platypus. If I just have an exhaust with openings like this, both infrared and radar detection could very likely find an F-117. By extending the bottom lip and angling it upwards, I hide the area from the most likely sources of infrared detection coming from the ground up and from the rear. Plus, it kept radar from bouncing off internal structures inside of here. Note too, the upwards angled exhaust will then mix with the air coming off the rudder vaders, further dispersing and cooling it. The bottom is also covered in a heat-absorbing tile to prevent heat from penetrating out to the lower surface and also protects these areas. The platypus was one of the hardest areas of the F-117 for Lockheed to design. It's a compromise between reducing detection and keeping engine power up. These slots effectively reduce engine thrust by at least 10%. Lastly, the exhaust slots help reduce the overall noise of the aircraft while in flight. Remember, we have to pay attention to how much noise we make, and a big loud jet engine with an even noisier afterburner just won't do. Plus, keep in mind, if we flew faster than the speed of sound, we would create sonic booms, and there's no hiding that noise. Let's not overlook the ruddervators, centralized and canted outward slightly, as well as faceted, all deliberately done to help reduce radar cross-section. Plus, they help shield the exhaust slots to a certain extent when viewed from above. Sometimes efforts in one area of design used to reduce, say, radar cross-section helped another area of concern, like infrared detection. The engine inlets are a perfect case of this complementary effect. These grids have openings that are 0.6 of an inch in size, and the whole grid is angled from bottom to top, as well as left to right. This helps deflect radar and reduce infrared detection. The grid is also covered with a radar absorbent material, as well as inside of the inlet itself. Further, the tunnel leading to the face of the engine has a slight downward angle to further reduce radar and infrared detection. As far as reducing visibility, well, one obvious thing that helped was that the F-117 flew its missions at night. The cover of darkness was one very simple way to greatly reduce visibility. When it came to the color, well, the Air Force favored the color black, despite Lockheed proving that a shade of light gray was most effective as far as reducing visibility. As we all know, the F-117s were painted black because Ben Rich, then the president of Lockheed, said, "In the Skunk Works, we work to the golden rule. He who has the gold rules." In other words, the Air Force wanted them to be painted black, and so they were. Contrails and engines that left a smoke trail were also two visual issues considered both in design and operation of the F-117. Lastly, the F-117, when in full stealth operation, emits no electromagnetic noise. No UHF, IFF, radar altimeter, tactical air navigation system, or other avionic signals are emitted. Consider this a form of noise reduction. So there you have it, a variety of ways the design and operation of the F-117 Nighthawk kept itself stealthy. Thanks for watching, and come visit us soon to see this and many more exciting aircraft and exhibits at the Air Zoo.